Hey folks, it's the MainePrepper, and I am here with the PatriotNurse who has consented to drop in and film a series of videos on resistance. And so what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about personnel in your resistance group. So would you like to start out and give us some pointers, things
Absolutely.
that we learned?
I think this is an area, just to represent my sex here, that women can thrive in. Especially when you're looking at managing people and having effective communication skills. This is really, really important in a disaster. It's important now in regular everyday life. Good communication is paramount, especially for diffusing tense situations. But having good management of your personnel, to be our fourth P in our resistance series here, management of your personnel of resistance is integral to a well-rounded plan. Making sure that our people are well networked, that they are well trained, and that they are well recruited is of primary import, I think. Can you speak, actually, before we get too far in depth this, can you speak about managing your personnel and training and making sure they're taken care of? Because this is something that you have immediate experience with, and this is what you've done.
If you wind up, normally what's going to happen is you'll have some sort of a de facto leader. It's often good if you'll elect that leader. If you are the leader or the manager or whatever title you're going to give it, you need to make sure that you're covering down on some essentials such as feeding your people and making sure that they're taken care of. And part of that means getting them trained and equipped. But it's a difficult enterprise because you don't just put in a request form and send it up the chain of command and they send you back a truck and the food ferry comes and kicks food out into your fob. What's going to happen is you've got to find ways to procure, and it's going to take a lot of cleverness. If you are in that position, don't try to do that all yourself. Delegate that. Find somebody that's the equivalent of a pack rat or something that's just a good scrounger. Anytime I've been in any group, there's always somebody that's a pretty good scrounger somewhere. And they can always scrounge stuff up. They're a very resourceful individual. And after a while, people sort of naturally filter in. Ideally, you get a number of people that have a variety of skill sets. There's also a group identity that gets going.
Yes.
And when you do come into a group, let's say there's somebody there and he's the strong guy, okay? He's the big, strong, stellar guy and he's huge, okay? And I come in and maybe I'm bigger and stronger than him. I'm new to the group. I don't step on his identity. So when you come in, you have to assimilate more so in this group than any other group you've been in your life because the very survival of the group. Those of you that have been through survival training, especially when they put you in EPW, that's enemy prisoner of war training, they make you a POW. You find out about this group dynamic and how important it is to support one another during adverse and hard times. The leader has to be reticent of this at all times when they're forming the group, and you've got to be kind of riding herd over personalities and conflicts and the fact that people are tired and all of these other issues running in the background. So it's not really a lot of drama so much, it's just the human element, we'll call it.
And I think to capitalize on that and go a step forward, something I would recommend folks really research and look at is the Zimbardo prison study. The Phil Zimbardo prison experiment had to be curtailed early because of the negative effects on the participants. If you are interested, you need to look this up on YouTube. Actually, I'll put a link down here in the description so that you can check this out. It is extraordinary, the change that happens to people who are given arbitrary roles within the context of a group. And you can watch how in short order, unless you've got somebody with very clearly defined boundaries, how they will take them and run. So I think it's something to be honest about. It's a human condition. And when you're looking at people who are threatened, who are tired, who are experiencing a major departure from their standard operating norm and a major departure from their comfort level and their standard of living, people are going to have the inner animal come out. And we need to be aware of this, and we need to, on our parts as leaders, you as leaders, we need to have this mastered, or at least have this checked off in our mind, that we have to take more responsibility for our people. And as a little practical note, leaders, eat last.
Yes.
Eat last.
Jim Gavin, 82nd Airborne Division Commander in World War II. Jump first. Leaders will jump first and eat last. That means you'll face all the hardship and danger ahead of your people, and you'll be the last one to get the blanket and the chow and everything else.
Yeah.
Those of you who've been a leader in the military, I was a first sergeant, so I stand at the end with the commander. Stand at the end of the line. Actually, we'd stand to the side of the line and we'd watch and make sure our soldiers are getting fed right. The cooks are giving them an adequate amount of food, that they're not short spooning them. And that spells a lot to your people because they know they don't have to worry about other things. You're going to take care of their basic needs so they can focus on training, on doing their job, and even if that training is just going out and finding more food, or if it's just a matter of simple survival, they're going to focus on that a lot better if they know they can trust you to be looking out for their best interests.
Yes. He who would be greatest among you must be your servant.
Very good. Very well
Wise
put.
words.
Nice quote.
Wise words to live
like
by. Okay. So other things to consider here regarding personnel. In our age, it has become, I think, a lot of people are very hesitant to apply traditional roles to women and traditional roles to men. But certainly in times of disaster, in many cases, men are better suited for security detail and women are better suited in many cases for attending of the children, things like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Specificity of roles is going to be important, making sure that people understand their roles and are able to carry them out appropriately and to the best of their ability. Yes. What are some other things we need to consider when we're looking at managing people, keeping people happy so that they're more effective in their ability to resist?
Well, security comes to mind, and that's actually a survival element. And what we noticed in the documentaries was security was a problem because there was, look, you get into hard times, and when times are good and people are making lots of money, folks can have very high ideals. I would never turn in one of my fellow Americans for something as tawdry as money. But when times get hard and people are hungry, people will turn in folks for simple things like
a Jew for a kilo of sugar.
Yes, tragedy. A Jew for a kilo of sugar. That's what it was broken down to. And guess what? There was a reason it was a kilo of sugar and not more, because they knew that was the breaking point. That was all it took. Tragic, but things were that hard. When people are hungry and they've got hungry kids at home, how many of you as preppers have heard folks say, well, when times get tough, I'm going to do what I got to do? Of course, the people that say that, they're not doing anything now. I mean, they're still going to the tanning booth, they're still getting their nails done, they're not sacrificing anything now, but by golly, when times get bad, they're going to come and look for people that do have things and take it from them, justifying it as, I'm taking care of my family. So don't think people will feel bad about turning you in during these hard times. That's why you've got to be very, very cautious, to the point of being, well, a little paranoid, right?
And there's a balance. There's a balance between paranoia and caution. A little bit of righteous caution never hurt anybody. Yeah.
But as they say, just because they're out to get you doesn't mean you're being paranoid, right?
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Something
So
like that.
you do have to make sure you are grounded in reality. Yeah. And that's, so I guess subjective to some people, but at the end of the day, a little bit of caution is going to go a long way at this time.
Yeah, and I think that segues very well into caution with choosing the people that constitute your group. Being wise about your choice of people, not only in skill sets, but in temperaments. Mm-hmm. Temperaments are very important to consider here too. If you have someone who tends to be a bit of a hothead, probably need to watch that just a little bit. Everybody's going to have their breaking point, okay? Yes. But a tendency and a habit of going off, half-cocked and biting at somebody for every little thing, being snippety, being nagging type of person, not a good person to have in your group. That's right. It will be a net drain on your resources, not only your food, your water, not only the staple and concrete resources, but also the energies, the mental and physical energy that it takes to sit down and talk to somebody when they're doing nothing but nag all day. Not good. Not good. We need to try and stay away from those people, for sure.
I remember watching a dramatization of the Diary of Anne Frank, and they had a group, and they were living in close quarters. And when you're living in close quarters and you got short rations and tempers are running high, you have to kind of back yourself down a little bit, and you have to say, okay, I'm going to be the adult in this situation. I'm going to be the one that just kind of. The best advice I can give when you're with people and things are getting hot and tense is Proverbs 15:1. That's a harsh voice stirs anger, but a gentle voice turns away wrath. I am telling you, I have used that. I have been in key leader engagements downrange with people that were furious. Somebody's dropped a bomb and it's hit their home and killed family members, and the village elders down there with the tribal chieftain and everybody else, and they've lost family members, and they are outright angry, and justifiably so. And I found that being the one that gets tapped for that's part of my job, to do salacia payment. I have to go in there and listen to that, and let me tell you, they're angry and they're hostile. And it doesn't matter if I got body armor on and a weapon, they're still upset, and my job is to try to get them to calm down. And I found that a gentle voice, speaking softly to people, and not criticizing, not arguing with them, just speaking softly with them and listening did a lot to dissuade, or rather to
diffuse the
situation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. A soft word turns away anger, for sure. And also having de-escalation skills, really good thing to have.
Yes.
Speaking of this, I want to touch on first contact. One of the things that came up in the resistance video that we watched was that the women were doing most of the networking, because the women could get out and about and attract much less suspicion than the men did. And so what they did was they used their communication skills, they used their verbal skills, they used their networking skills to gather information on friends and foes and also supplies. So when you use your personnel to their strengths and you capitalize on the strengths that each individual has, you can blend them together into a veritable alphabet soup of resistance.
Awesome.
Alphabet soup. That's a metaphor for the day right there.
Awesome.
For sure.
That's perfect.
What else do you have to add to the personnel aspect?
I would say pretty much we've covered everything in this series of videos, and this is just a start, but I wanted to again put a little boundary out here if I could. Folks, we're not at that point yet, but you need to be thinking that way. If you're not already, though, paying attention politically, you're not already out there getting involved somewhat and trying to diffuse situations before they become a situation, just putting caches in the woods and waiting for the day to happen is going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. I talk to people a lot and they say, well, you know, this or that's going to happen. And I say, what are you doing now about it? Well, it's too late. In the last election, our guy didn't get elected, so the system's rigged and it sucks. And I have to say, with all kindness, you know, what did our founding fathers do when they got handed defeats? And they didn't win every single battle, okay? I don't care what tour bus you went on when you toured Valley Forge. They didn't win every single battle. They had some significant losses. And yet, what did they do? They marched barefoot in the snow. They went out and they fought. They fought for our liberty and our freedom and marched barefoot in the snow. They did everything that they could, and they did not give up. Oh, there were some that did, and there were some that ran away. But a couple of things about this situation was that they were engaged beforehand. Our founding fathers were not just showing up with a musket the very day that there was the Boston Massacre. They were already out there trying to dissuade the king or persuade the king to behave properly. They were trying to dissuade the people that were going along with him, the Tories. They were doing everything they could to win people over and to try to shape the political argument that later turned into a debate that finally forced the hand of the king to engage in such a tyranny that our founding fathers had no recourse but to declare our independence.
It's true. Hopefully the information that we've given to you today will not be of use, but due to the nature of history, it probably will at an eventuality sometime in the future. So, MainePrepper, I want to thank you so much for being here, and thank you for appearing with me on camera and discussing a very important subject today.
And thank you, PatriotNurse, and we appreciate you dropping by. I do especially, and we'll go inside and grab a cup of coffee. How about that?
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to me, PatriotNurse, and also please subscribe to MainePrepper. We appreciate you guys very much. And for now, it's PatriotNurse signing off, and MainePrepper.
Thank you.
Thanks. We'll see you guys later.
Okay, bye.